you were born that far away, so we could both make fun of distance. Like you thought I love a foreign land for the lucky fact of your existence, baby.
I wouldn't be the person I am today if it weren't for my service dogs. As a child, before I got my first dog, I couldn't stay home alone for more than a few minutes or go places by myself. Getting a dog allowed me to be independent, to live my life the way I choose. Having a disability can be very isolating because people are afraid of what they don't understand. But having a service dog helps people see past the disability and accept me as a regular person. Tam, what has that experience been like for you?
Well, my first attempt at training my own dog, I was really naive. I'd heard that you could train your own dog and get it certified through a handful of groups that would do such a thing. But I knew the waiting list was really long, and and they used a lot of golden retrievers and labs and that kind of stuff. And so I wasn't really into those kind of breeds. I wanted a Doberman. So after I got a pup, I started hanging out with. I started hanging out with a service dog organization in my hometown, and I even got help from one of the head trainers, and but I never did get around to getting them certified. And ironically, they never told me that I didn't have to get them certified, because through the Americans with Disabilities Acts, a service dog doesn't need to be certified. So having been partnered with a dog that I thought wasn't official kind of caused me some stress, to say the least. So I wanted to start an organization such as this because I feel it's really important to empower others with disabilities to do things for ourselves and to make our own choices and you know, and have a support system, you know. So if they opt to do such a thing, then they can have success.
Yeah, I felt the same way. I had 2 dogs from service dog programs, and while Merlin is one of them, while I've loved them both, the experience of getting them wasn't empowering for me. I wanted to be able to choose the dog I got. I wanted to be able to decide how he'd be trained, what he'd be trained to do, and most of all, I just wanted to be treated as a person who's intelligent and capable, who knows for what's best for my life. And I decided, you know, that the best way to make sure that my needs were met was to do it myself. And so now I'm training my own assistance dog, and his name is Arthur. He was rescued from the animal shelter, and I'm going to have our trainer, Emily Gatos, with Clicker Coach Positive Dog Training, come up and tell a little more about him.
Artie, come. Fox, come. She's come. Fox here. One of the things in traditional dog training that made it very difficult for people with disabilities to work with dogs was the emphasis on dominance and the emphasis on physical correction. And somebody who has a disability can't physically correct a dog necessarily. They can't do an alpha roll. They can't bite him on the nose. They can't very often manipulate a leash to give leash corrections. So the new technology in dog training is clicker training. And it's actually been around a very long time. Clicker training is based on the principle of operant conditioning. Operant conditioning is the same thing that you see it in marine parks all the time, where you have a dolphin, you have a trainer who's got some fish and a whistle. And the trainer uses the whistle to mark the behavior that they want from the animal. And then that behavior is rewarded. Using that technique allows people with disabilities to train their own dogs in a very effective way, because it doesn't require any force. So what can you train a dog to do with a clicker? You can train a dog to do with a clicker anything that the dog can learn to do. So, Artie, good boy. Can you down? You give me a down? Good boy. Fox, can you give me a down? Fox, down? Yeah. Oh, you're not going to do it. Okay. Artie's about a year old. And we think he's a Brittany mix with something else in it, possibly some Irish setter. He's a very, very bright dog, and he's very quick to learn, and he's very, very good with his hands. So he's especially good at doing things like working elevator buttons and light switches, which is very important for service dogs. One of the things that we very commonly start dogs out with when we train them is what we call targeting, which is following either an object or a hand so that they learn how to move. So touch it, Artie, touch. Good boy. And you notice we use the click to mark the behavior that we want. Now, Fox is a certified therapy dog. Fox goes to hospitals and he visits children and elderly people and helps with rehabilitation efforts. And so Fox especially likes to do tricks. Can I paw? Thank you. Good boy. Artie, down. Good. Anyhow, the principle of using a clicker is very simple. When you have a behavior that you like, you click, and then you give a treat. Good boys. Okay, Artie, sit. Good boy. Fox, sit. Good job. By rewarding, is that?
You need to take the dogs over to the training area. We should be over
Okay. Artie, come.
there so we can see them.
Okay, cool.
All right.
All of us?
Oh. This has been one of the most empowering experiences of my life, to discover that I can train my own dog, that I have the right and the ability to make those decisions. As a disabled person, I've often found myself in situations where I'm dependent on others, or I just don't feel like I have choices, and training my own dog is one area of my life where I can be independent, where I've realized that this is something that I can do, and that's very important to me.
Okay, so this is Artie and this is Fox, and I'm just going to ask them to do some simple behaviors that they've learned with a clicker. And so the first one that's very easy, Fox, here. Good boy. Fox, down. So when he gives me a down, I click and I reward with a treat. Now the same thing with Arthur. You sit down. You can give me down? Good boy. I'm not using any force. In Fox's case, we don't even have to have a leash on him. That's one of the other advantages of clicker training, is you can communicate over distance because you're using a clicker instead of pulling on a leash. Can we sit? Can we sit? Good boys. And when you clicker train, it's very important that you always give a treat when you click. Otherwise, the clicker you lose the ability to communicate with it. It's a communication tool that tells the animal very clearly when he's done something that you like. Fox, here? What you think? Fox man, where's your tail? Fox, where's your tail? Where's your tail? Oh, Artie. Artie down. Artie, good boy. They're a little nervous in front of these lights. Sit. Oops. Artie, here. Good boy. Wait. Fox, sit. Paw. Good boy. Okay. Come here. You circle. Good boy. Good boy. Guitar? Yes, good boy. Guitar? Guitar. One more. Guitar. Good boy. That's good. All right, Artie. Touch it. Now, Artie's been trained to target, which means you can hold out a stick or your hand, touch it. And that allows you to move the dog into place. And that's very convenient if you're trying to teach a dog to do a different behavior like jumping on something or jumping off of something, right? Okay. So Karen, can you tell us a little bit about the mission of Noble Paws?
Sure. We wanted to create an organization that would empower people with disabilities through assistance dogs. Our goal is to train dogs with people rather than for people so that they have choices. Many disabled people, such as myself and Tam, feel that we can benefit from an assistance dog, and we want to do our own training. But a lot of people don't know where to start. So our goal is to help those people get the resources they need, find out what it is they need to do to have a great assistance dog partnership. Noble Paws is run by people with disabilities, for people with disabilities. We realize that it's a people with disabilities are a very unique community and very diverse, and we all have individual needs. We believe that when it comes to training service dogs, one size doesn't fit all. Just a little bit more about assistance dogs in general. Common types you've heard of guide dogs, of course, hearing alert dogs, and service dogs. And they can help people with a wide range of disabilities, physical, mental, psychological. They can be trained to retrieve things that you drop, turn lights on and off, push elevator buttons, open doors, provide balance support, alert to sounds, help out during seizures or panic attacks, and just lots of other things. As Tam mentioned earlier, the Americans with Disabilities Act gives us the legal right to bring our assistance dogs into any public place, restaurants, schools, stores, hospitals, anywhere. And they don't have to be certified by any organization. And that's because it's important for us to continue to have the right to do our own training and to choose whether or not we want to be affiliated with an organization. But that being said, of course, it's very important that we train our dogs to behave in an appropriate manner for a service dog. That, you know, when they go out in public, that they behave themselves and they present a good public image. And another thing people don't know about assistance dogs is they can be just about any breed or size. Of course, here we've got Brias, a German Shepherd, Merlin, a Golden Retriever, Arthur is a setter mix. And a lot of people have small dogs. For a person with a significant physical disability or who lives in a small apartment, a small dog may be easier for them to handle. And they can certainly learn to do quite a few things. And dogs can come from any source. I think it's very important to rescue dogs and train them for this type of work. That's why I rescued Arthur from the pound, and he's doing great. Again, back to what Emily was talking about, as people with disabilities, you know, it's hard for me to physically, you know, I can't physically dominate my dog. I don't want to physically dominate my dog, but even if I did, I couldn't. Operant conditioning it requires training and patience rather than physical strength, and it can be done by anyone, no matter how severe their disability. It's about forming a partnership based on mutual respect. And for me personally, clicker training, it's a natural extension of my beliefs, my concern for the welfare of animals, and how we as humans can improve our relationship with them. Clicker training teaches animals to think. It teaches them to love training, to love life, and it doesn't use any pain or intimidation. It's important.